Hey, hi everyone. Let us start with this particular topic today. We're going to start with neoclassical period of literary criticism, and we have three persons on the menu. That is John Dryden, we have Alexander Pope, and last we have Dr. Samuel Johnson. For this particular lecture, I'll be concentrating upon John Dryden and of course Alexander Pope. So let us see what we have in store. I'll be starting this particular PPT presentation for your, for your help. So let us see. Yeah. So the neoclassical period it starts. Uh, so it basically consists of this two gentlemen. That is, if John Dryden on the left hand side. On the left hand side, we have John Dryden. Yeah, Dryden. So below the word Dryden, and on the right hand side we have Pope. These are thinking individuals. I was very fascinated with Pope's lifestyle and more importantly his humor when I was reading his, the mock epic. The Rape of the Lock. It was, Belinda's Lock, and it was such a beautiful parody, it was beautiful mockery of the John Milton's Paradise Lost. And of course, we have John Dryden. So let us see what we have. These two great persons of the neoclassical period, that is the revival of the classical period in England, they come up with two famous book on criticism. The first book by John Dryden, that is we are going to discuss, is Dryden's An Essay on Dramatic Poesy, and the next book by Alexander Pope is the Essay on Criticism. So we are going to have a rough knowledge, a rough sketch of this of their ideas. So let us go back to dramatic poesy, what we have in store. So basically, he spoke about the theory of imitation, because theory of imitation won't be leaving us, I think, till death. Being a student of literary criticism, or so it's something like this. Imitation, so according to this guy, John Dryden, imitation is something that pleases us. And he also comes up with this word telos, that is, if what is the purpose of the poetry. Telos is the purpose of the poetry. And he compares poet to the god almost. It's like poet is a creator rather than an imitator, and who uses nature as an imitator. Now he gives a slight different slight, not an exactly original concept. So he tells poet is more a creator than an imitator. Well, he uses nature as an imitator. And he comes up with this, he has written this, I am quoting it. Here he said that it is fancy that gives the life touches. In his essay, he proves that English dramatists were no way inferior than the French one, because in those days people think learning Latin, learning French, that was the the language or the literature of the higher classes. And he says that even English as a language, it was improving, it was reaching a zenith. And he says, while you compare English dramatists with the French counterpart, they are no less away from that. And also he goes to the, they are famous to subdivision between in an essay, there is a tragedy and comedy. He says comedy is basically a representation of human life in inferior persons and low subjects, in inferior person and low subjects. Because you go to Aristotle, tragedy is something a man of higher and noble birth. And Dryden also says that it is important to have a close study of Latin and Greek, and it should use as a torch to enlighten our passage. You should have a knowledge of Latin and Greek, and it will be used as a guiding light, as a torch to the passage. And he also, compared William Shakespeare, the greatest dramatist, with that of the European counterpart of Sophocles and Euripides, that is of the classical dramatist. So that's the basic thing on dramatic poesy. If you want, I can make a detailed video on dramatic poesy, but that's already the gist. Now we come to the next part, that is a essay on criticism by Sir Alexander Pope. He was a very humorous fellow, and he is someone who came up with three sections or three important aspects of criticism. Rather than focusing on the literary works, he said how to be a good critic, how to be a better critic. That's it. So he tried to develop a scientific methodology in order to approach the art of criticism. Now that was really ahead of time. So in his essays of criticism, he focuses on devising a proper kind of, a proper way, a proper methodology and standard way how to criticize a particular literary work. And he was very enriched with the the fake critics, the faulty critics. He also comes up with the qualities of a good critics. And in his essays of criticism he devises three channels. The first channel where it will deal with, you need to, as a critic, you need to study the great classics, because classics like for example Homer's, Troy, and the famous dramatists of the Greek and Latin period, classical period. It should be a benchmark for criticism. Great literature is a benchmark for criticism. It has been told by the previous, the predecessor of literary theory and criticism. Also, uh, there are many, he lists out many causes of faulty criticism, and in the last part he prescribes some rule for criticism. That is, if you need to learn the art of criticism from the Greek masters and the Roman masters. And he also says the function of criticism is to judge properly. And he comes up with a bang, he comes up with a revolutionary tagline or caption: in order to be a good critic, be a good author. Because nowadays many authors, many painters, many illustrators, they also criticizes the criticism of the critics. Oh dude, you cannot write a piece of poem, and you are asking us to rectify our faults. You are asking us to, this is the fault in your literature, this is the fault in your art, this is the fault in your painting. First try to create something. So he is the one, he says, in order to be a good critic, you should be an author, you should be a poet, you should be a dramatist first. That's the important thing of, that's the essay on criticism. That's a benchmark thing, according to me. I don't know about you. You can always develop your own thoughts, your own theories, or something like that. But it should be backed up by something very logical explanation or something like that. So that was Dryden, Sir John Dryden, and also Sir Alexander Pope. Next, we have Dr. Samuel Johnson. He's coming. He's just nearby. He'll be coming up within 2 to 3 days. So that's it, my friend. That's it for today. If you have any questions, please drop in the comment section. I guess that's it. See you. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.